Welcome to my humble little office. My name is R. Keith Andrews. I am a spiritual guide and paranormal adept. The journey continues today on September 22nd, 2025 at approximately 9 p.m. PST. My apologies, 8 p.m. PST. Now, I bill myself as a spiritual guide because the tools I offer are the exact same tools I personally use in my day-to-day life. And the philosophies of life I talk about are the same philosophies I personally guide virtually every decision I make by. With this in mind, I know these tools will work for you because they continue to work for me and have literally worked for thousands of other people with varying degrees of success depending on their own personal efforts. Now, before we get into things, what have we got here? Oh, look at that. Right now, how's it going there, LA? Hope you're feeling better at this point. The reality is today we're going to be looking at assessing your financial state. Okay, assessing your personal finances and figuring out how to absolutely reclaim power over them. Now, again, we're going to touch on something that we did yesterday. How you got to where you are. Do yourself a favor. Don't try and figure it out. Okay, I found myself when I tried doing that for years, I tried figuring out where I made the mistake. The mistake is simple. Budgets on the whole, I have found, do not work unless you know exactly how much money is coming in on a monthly basis. However, tracking what you're spending works like a charm. Okay, and the real key factor to making finances work properly is literally spend less than what comes in, if at all possible. Now, one of the biggest miscalculations people make, and I see this taught time and again to people. Okay, Rachel, how you doing? You are in with the gold. Glad you could join us. Now, just a real quick comment. If you haven't done so already, people, I would strongly recommend you grab a scrap of paper or recording device or simply bookmark this video so that you can make notes and act upon them. Now, the biggest thing that I hear people say when they're trying to teach finances is this. If you don't have when you're trying to get your finances under control, cut back, cut back, cut back. Well, there comes a point where cutting back doesn't work. Okay, now there are a couple of areas that I have seen happen where people have made what I consider an absolutely disastrous miscalculation. Many of you may well be up to your eyeballs in debt, and you may well, because of what you've been going through, be considering bankruptcy. Now, hopefully that's not one of those words that's considered bad nowadays, but I'm here to tell you, yes, I've been bankrupt twice, okay? Once by what I call creative financing. I managed to take a $1,000 credit card limit and push it to $2,000 before it got cut off. Not a good idea. Okay, the second time was because my boss bounced a paycheck, and neither my boss nor my bank told me about it until it was too late. Net result, cascade failure. This said, bankruptcy only benefits one group of people. Whatever the debt is you're in. The theory is you got into it by legitimately going in, borrowing money or getting a lease to own or a rent to own from a company that legitimately said, okay, we're going to gamble on you and we're going to let you pay this off in bits and pieces. You go bankrupt. And here's what happens. And I am not a financial advisor. Okay. Yes, I've guided a lot of people financially, but I cannot call myself a financial advisor. I've never been trained. I learned from the school of hard knocks. Now, here's what happens. You go bankrupt. A bankruptcy trustee or a financial trustee that is helping you with the payment load, what they do is they make sure they get their money and they talk to the people that you legitimately borrowed money from. that legitimately offered you credit, and you don't pay them what you agreed to. Okay, so they lose, you lose, and the bankruptcy trustee gets their money. This said, okay, if you watch what you're doing with your money, and we're going to start with the basics. Okay, how do you assess your money? What we got? Eternity Eternal, how you doing? You are in with the silver. Here's how you look at it. Take a look at everything you own. Yeah, and I do mean your living expenses, your rent, your utilities, one credit card. Okay, don't forget your insurance, auto, health, travel insurance, whatever it is. Okay, savings, and you want to make certain that you've got savings aside for a proper holiday. Now, this may take you a while to get. Okay, but list all of those bills. Then you look at everybody you owe, the rest of the credit cards, if you've got a lease to own, if you've got a line of credit, these get listed as well. And then you look at the bills that the people have loaned you money for. Even if the person that loaned you the money said, look, I'm a friend, just have the money and don't worry about it. Even those kind of bills, if you feel that you still should be paying it back. Personally, I still do feel that way. So I'm covering all of them. But you'll notice I listed them off in 3 steps. Living expenses, the interest accruing debts, and the ones that are interest free. Okay, so this is how you're going to assess where your finances are. And again, how you got to where you are is not a major concern. What is of major concern is whether you change what you're doing and thereby quit repeating the same process. Now, there are a number of things that you can do to enhance your finances. And the first thing I always look at is, okay, cut back is a great idea. Quit spending stupidly. You're looking at a really, really good individual at spending stupid. I was going through, especially while I was dealing with depression, I was going through $300 to $400 a month at a restaurant because I don't cook well. Okay, no sense of taste, no sense of space, no sense of timing. Kitchen is not my friend. Now, sadly, this is an excuse. I never took the time to figure out how to get around it. Okay, and however you got to where you are, there's no way you can bypass it. Okay, you cannot change how you got there. What you can do is alter where you're going. And one of these days I'll get my eyeballs working properly. Mind you, I do have a docking station coming in that should provide me with the bigger monitor, making it easier. Now, what is recommended is, now I'm a dinosaur, so I use pen and paper. But if you desire to use a computer, knock yourself out. Any sort of recording device, mark down the total of what you owe. Okay, that's where you start. Now understand, many people will say, oh, you're that far in debt, just go bankrupt. I'm telling you, it's not worth it on the whole. And if you're having trouble, like I said, I am not a financial advisor, but, because I've never been trained. But if you go to the link at buymeacoffee.com/innervoiceJ, you'll find a way to get a hold of me. I still do consulting work, personal and business. Okay, and I'll be quite happy to sit down with you. Albeit in most cases over the phone. Okay, and walk through things with you to get you on the right track. But here's the thing. I'm going to show you how to make your money work for you. I'm not going to ask you to give me 500 bucks and I'll make sure all your creditors are dealt with. I'm not doing that. Okay, don't get me wrong. You desire to give me 500 bucks, I'll take it. I will not turn it down. I'm just kind of subtle that way. But you take a look and figure out where you're standing. Ignore how you got there. You can absolutely go, I was just stupid and I got there. I ended up in this mess. Absolutely, if you desire to call yourself stupid, I'm going to tell you, I don't see it that way. True ignorance means for whatever reason you didn't get the message. So you probably made some moves that weren't well advised. But you learned from other people that were taught the same thing. So what we're going to do here is take a look at your living expenses first. Now, priority one, and understand whether you're leasing a place, renting a place, paying mortgage on a place, it doesn't matter. It's all the same bill. It's your housing cost. That is, bar none, the first bill that's got to be paid. The second one is, I kid you not, your power. Now, I've heard way too many people, they'll come to me and go, I'm behind in all my bills. My power, my cable, my phone. I've got to get my cable paid because I can't be without my cable. Newsflash, your power goes. It doesn't matter if your cable is up to date. You're not going to have cable. Okay, so you're looking at what you actually owe, not what everybody says you can get away with paying. Yes, you can always swing a deal. I was lucky with my credit card. I ran into a problem. They handed me an offer to take straight off the debt, right off the principal and stop the interest for 6 months. Now, this was a deal that the credit card company came to me with. Net result, I start paying next month back at the normal rate, but I'm under my limit. Okay, which was where I was having trouble. And again, this is something that I can walk you through. The first thing you do is be honest. If you're behind in a credit card, okay, contact the credit card company. Go, this is the reality. I'm not arguing debt, but I can't keep up with the interest rate. I've got these problems. Some of them may look at it like it's an excuse, but be honest. Okay, be brutally honest and tell them flat out. You may well see this as an excuse. I can't do anything about that. This is the problem I've got. Now, some of them will be dumber than fence posts. Okay, I had one company I was dealing with. I told them this was a problem. They insisted they wanted their money. I'm like, you're not getting it. Not until I can actually keep a roof over my head. And that's just all there is to it. So I quit answering the phone. When you're looking at your financial situation, you're not looking at it, or at least it's best not to be looking at it, from the standpoint of how did I get here? Honestly, when you think about it, does it really matter how you got there? You are in the state you're in. Now it's time to dig yourself out. Okay? And there's a real simple trick to it. And no, it is not cut back. It's a great idea. But we are going to be looking at down the road some of the tricks to making money work better. For the moment, take a look at what you owe. Take a look at what it costs you to live. And again, you're looking at your rent, mortgage, doesn't matter. Your accommodation expense, your utilities, one credit card, because in this world, credit cards are almost a necessity. But there's a way of earning money with a credit card. Okay, and I know what I just said. You're sitting there going, credit cards cost money. They do. Unless you know how to play with them. Okay, and I kid you not, they don't make a lot of money, but there are tricks to making money. Okay, now, If you've got more than one credit card, whichever one is under limit. Do not worry about the interest rate in any of them. Interest rate doesn't matter. Okay. And I know the financial advisors will tell you, oh, your interest rate is too high. We've got to bring the interest rate down. The interest rate is irrelevant in my experience. Okay. Yes, it's something we can take consideration of. But the thing we've got to look at is where you're standing and can you meet it. Now, if you're overdrawn on a credit card and you're having trouble keeping up, contact the credit card. Absolutely let them know you're overdrawn. Here's the situation. Okay, if you're dead honest with them, they may consider it an excuse. They may not work with you, but you know what you can deal with. Okay, contact them, let them know. Mark down, like make a note of whatever agreement you make so that you've got a record of it. Most companies will tell you they're recording the phone call. Okay, what they don't tell you is don't make notes. Once you know how much it actually costs you to live, okay, then you can start sorting things around. But the assessment part boils down to you've got to be honest with yourself first. Are you in trouble? If the answer is yes, it is. This is when you stop and go, okay, governments may be doing stupid things to you. Interest rates from the cards may be too high. All of these things are possible. Ultimately, it's your responsibility to sort things out, not theirs. Okay, so what we're looking at is you figure out what it costs you to run your house. Now, for me, I can get away with, let's see, 5, 10. I can get away with just over $2,000 a month. Okay, now with that in mind, since I can get away with just over $2,000 a month, expenses to keep a roof over my head, to keep all my utilities on, I'm getting about $2,200 a month in right now. Now I intend on altering that. Okay, but I'm not altering that by going cut back, cut back, cut back. I'm altering it by going, is this something I should be in that I can get around paying? I.e., I cut back the amount I was going out to dinner. Oh my gosh, $300 to $400 a week I'm spending in a restaurant. It's not that hard to cut it back. Okay, it really isn't. But everybody's got their own expenses. Everybody's got their own problems they're dealing with, and old bad habits, or good habits for that matter. So you're taking a look, figure out what it costs to run your household. Now you take a look at what you've got coming in. Now what's coming in is your paycheck. Now that paycheck could be work, maybe it's government subsidy, maybe you've got a trust fund coming in, maybe it's retirement funding. Whatever the income, if it's coming into your bank account, it's coming in. Compare the two. If you've got lower expenses than what you've got income coming in, you can get out of debt. It may take you a while. One chap I knew took him 8 years to get out of debt. You probably did not get in debt overnight. Some of you did. Okay. But what we're looking at is where are you standing, not how did you get there. Once you know what you've got coming in and what has to go out, now we can start looking at how to get out altogether. And that is where you turn around and break it down. Because right now I'm just looking at the assessment of it. Okay. Are you paying more rent than what you should be? Probably. Can you do much about it? Probably not. So rent has to be looked at. Now, there are some neat little things. Let's say, for instance, you've got cable. Now, that may be your only entertainment. Okay. And rest assured, I've got my own views on that one. But maybe you've got a bunch of movie services that you don't really utilize. Not that you shouldn't have movie services, but look at what you're actually utilizing. Make certain the money you're spending is stuff that is actually beneficial. Now, if you happen to be one of these people that watches a lot of your internet, like watches a lot of movies, then yes, absolutely keep the cable. Absolutely no question there at all. If you're signed up for a bunch of extra movie channels that you don't actually watch, shut them down. Okay. Now, you can do what you will. I'm just telling you things that I literally did in order to get my life in order. And I am now at a point where my income covers my living expenses by a couple extra $100. Okay, the real kicker to it is this. To assess your actual finances, you've got to be brutally honest with you. You don't have to tell anybody else. Okay, again, if you're having troubles and you do desire somebody to talk to, getting a hold of me is not that hard. And yes, I absolutely did say I don't charge a lot, but I do only what's here for free. Okay, what's here and what's on my free magazine. Okay, them I give the information. Those two venues I do for free. I do not charge anybody. Okay, it has been suggested putting a membership together for this channel. Okay, that I'm really reticent about, but who knows what the future is going to hold. I am looking at it very simply this way. This is free. Okay, talking to me one-on-one isn't. I've got a schedule that gets really stupid on occasion. But I also only charge $20 for 15 minutes. This is based on a 50-year background. Okay, and yes, bluntly put, I have been paid as much as $2,600 an hour. I only charge $80. Okay. Yeah, what do we got here? Oh, there we are. Oh, there we are. Yeah. LA is going. Senior coffee is 50 is what do we got here? I hate my eyesight on occasion. Yeah. Senior coffee is 50 cents and the other one once your firstborn. Like I look at some companies going, how can you charge that much? I can buy, like I've got a coffee pot at home that works, right? So I can buy about 6 months worth of coffee for what they charge in some stores. Okay, to buy it pre-brewed. I'm thinking, yes, I'm lazy, but the neat thing about a coffee maker is they make my coffee for me and then I can carry on. When you're looking at figuring out where you're standing, you must be brutally honest with you. Don't worry about how you got there. Okay, you're going to sit there in all likelihood going, I messed up. I'm so stupid I dug myself into this pit. You probably did. But let's be clear. True ignorance means you did something without actually getting the message and knowing better. And the odds are you were taught by somebody else that made the same move. Stupidity is taking a look at it going, I know this is too much. And I'm going to do it anyway. Now, there's a difference between being stupid and going, I'm going to do it anyway, and going, but I really like this coffee. It's a luxury to me. This is important to me. You still have to follow karmic law. You must be true to yourself first. But if coffee is that important, you may have to look at something else that isn't quite as important. Okay, for me, I'm looking at it going, okay, I've got a limited income. I've got a lot of books and no marketing experience to speak of, but I can learn marketing. Okay, That's the critical factor. This is the one thing you have to look at. Because when you're looking at the reality behind it, if you look at it going, I've cut back as far as I can or as far as I'm willing to, if you've gone back as far as you can, now it's time to find a way to increase your income. And there's a whole lot of tricks to that. And we are looking at doing a show on some of the neat little corner cutters that you can use for actually spending your money more wisely. Okay, yes, I'm focusing on, this is Monday, so we are focusing on finances. As it stands, that is what Mondays are for. This is where we're going to cover things like how can you make your dollar go further? Okay, what can you invest your time in? I'm not playing the stock market for you. I'm sorry. Every time I've gotten into the stock market, I have lost money. Every time. Even with mutual funds. I'm not the one to talk to about investments. Unless we're talking about investments in time and people. Those I can tell you how to spot from a mile away. But again, you got to be brutally honest with you first. Once you have that down pat, you'll be sitting in good shape. Now, your rent, wherever you are, you got to remember, wherever you are, let's say you're not really content with where you're living. Be very cautious of one thing. In today's world, I've seen it happen time and again, that landlords will evict people because they can make more money. But there are laws, depending on what country you're in, to stop that. Okay, unfortunately, they don't always work. But if you're looking at changing the locations, before you give your notice, it sounds like common sense, but you'd be amazed how many people don't do it. If you're looking at genuinely changing locations of where you're living, find a new place to live first. Okay, and make certain the cost of that is going to be low enough you can manage it. And here's another overlook. When you're looking at moving into a new place, ask for what the last tenant's average bill was. Okay, so you got at least a ballpark idea of what it's going to cost you to live there. Okay, now, by the way, running a household is the same as running a business. And again, it boils down to thinking things through. Are you spending money wisely? Is your income exceeding your expenses? If it is, great. If not, then we have this neat little problem. You got to find a way to balance it. Now, yes, you can, if you're, like I said, I'm no financial advisor. My first recommendation would be literally go to your bank. Talk to the financial advisor there. That is what they are paid for. Okay. They can guide you, or at least the theory is they'll be able to. If that doesn't work, like if you feel your bank is absolutely useless to you, and you do desire to contact somebody, start with the secondary option. Talk to people that you know that are handling their finances in a functional fashion. Maybe this is family, maybe it's a friend. Okay, that's your second line of defense. Third line, you can try it. Well, you can try the first one of modifying yourself. But if you don't know what you're doing, that's going to be a challenge. So you go bank advisor first, then turn to your friends. Okay. Now, when it comes to financial advisors, understand two major factors. Okay. Because what we're looking at is assessing how to get control of your finances so you're not hanging yourself out to dry. Okay. And the trick there is look to a financial advisor, certainly, but make certain they are charging you something you can afford. Ask them right up front, what's it going to cost to sit down and go through this with you? Now, I'll tell you, If they're telling you $200 an hour, my guess is you don't have that kind of money. Okay, but do your own research. Yes, I will reiterate, I do financial consulting. Okay, I'm not a financial advisor. I am literally an intuitive. Okay, now, yes, I've taught millionaires how to make money work. I just didn't care about the money until recently. Okay, I can walk you through it and will. Again, take a look at my site. Take a look at the Buy Me a Coffee link, and that will absolutely put you in touch with me. Okay, the reality of it is, I'm not here to become rich off of one person. Frankly, I'm not here to become rich off of 100 people. What I'm looking at is this. I worked out an algorithm where once I am making enough money to live on comfortably, I have already set things up where 80% of my net income after my cost of living is going back to the community. Okay, now you don't have to believe that by any stretch. You can do that. I mean, you can believe it if you will, or don't. Okay, but with that in mind, it is absolutely imperative that you really take a look at things and ask yourself, do I know where I am? Not how did I get here? Because I'm telling you, how you got here, how you got to where you are, is 100% irrelevant. Because once you figure out where you're standing, then we start working on how to get out of debt. And I do mean that elusive thing called being 100% debt free, using your money, not using somebody else's. Okay, I love the ones that go, hey, we'll give you a loan where, we'll loan you $1,000 at this percentage, which by the way means you're going to pay back $2,000 to $2,500 in most cases in order to get you out of debt. Well, this is great. Okay, until you realize if you don't learn how to handle your money, getting out of debt, you're not going to stay there. It's kind of like if you don't know how to drop weight safely, your weight will drop. Okay, but it won't stay off if you don't know how to actually take care of yourself. This is why when we take a look at the debt load. Blue, how you doing? Glad you could join us. Now, now here's the good news, Blue. If you do have a question, absolutely, this is the time to voice it. If you've got a specific question, and put it all in all caps, because that way I can actually find it. Okay, and I'll do my best to answer it. Okay, rest assured, if you've got a question, the odds are somebody else listening in does. They likely have the same question. Now, the important factor here is when I'm talking about assessing your finances and getting yourself out of debt, this means I'm going to show you and walk you through how to look at your finances and how to regain control over them using your money, not getting a loan from somebody else or going into debt by somebody else. I'm talking about looking what you have. It may be a slow climb, but which would you rather? A rapid climb that drives you right back into your debt load, or a slow climb that gets you out of it permanently? And I do mean permanent. Okay, the important factor here is your financial state, the way your life is going, is absolutely yours to guide. Okay, yes, you can point at the government and going, they're doing all these mean things. The credit cards are charging way too high interest rate, and the companies are overpricing everything, and say that's why I'm in financial trouble. Bad news. You're the one doing the spending. Regardless of whether somebody else encouraged you to do it or not, you're the one doing it. And the first rule of financial assessment is to realize you're the one that dug yourself there. Whatever guided you there, whatever encouragement you had to get into that mess, you're the one that made the choice to go there. Taking responsibility for your situation is absolutely critical. Okay, with that in mind, once you've taken responsibility and said, I did this to me for whatever reason, however long ago you started down that road, I started digging myself into my hole 60 years ago. Okay, because I had the mindset that money didn't matter. Now, I knew about it. I was teaching people how to dig themselves out, how to get out of where they were, starting 30 years ago. Again, I didn't follow what I told people. So, yes, I knew what I was doing. And I totally pulled the stupid card and went, I'm not doing anything. I'm just going to stay doing what I'm doing. And I'll tell you, you've really, in all likelihood, you've developed some pretty bad spending habits, or really good ones, depending on how you look at it. So what we're looking at this point is, where do you go from here? Once you know where you're standing, then we take a look and go, okay, maybe you've only got $10 over what it costs you to live. You're $10 ahead. It's a slow climb, but you will do it. Okay. Now, there's a lot of techniques, and we are going to be looking on one of these Mondays down the road. I don't have the schedule right in front of me. But what is today? Looking for my sheet here. That just about came out wrong. Just making a note to make sure I do this. I said I was going to post a few things, and unfortunately, I put myself on way too tight of a time limit. So I'm going to apologize for that one right this moment. I will get these things posted as quick as I can. Oh, there we go. What's that? Oh, I'm not sure what that is, but that's okay. So I'm going to ignore that for the moment. Here's the thing. Every Monday, we're going to be looking at techniques for handling your finances and for making your money, your income, work for you. Okay. Now, this, by the way, the tools I'm going to be offering. The tools I'm going to be offering are literally ones that I personally use. I'm not interested in taking all of your money and going, hey, absolutely, send me money. I will tell you, you send me money, I will quite happily accept it and put it to work. I'm not stupid enough to turn it down. But the reason I'm doing it for free here is so that the people that cannot legitimately afford it can start looking at how to get out. Okay? But I'm talking about using your money and your surplus. This is why it's critical you're brutal with yourself of going, here's where I'm standing. I owe this much money to these companies. It may look really daunting. Worst case scenario I had was simple. Okay, I had managed to get 13 credit cards. Okay. Perfect, Blue. Appreciate that. You know, the nice little part of it is this. I've walked down some pretty stupid roads because I knew better. But because of that, my goal is to turn the lights on so you don't trip over that chair in the middle of the hallway, of the dark hallway, or fall down that staircase you didn't see coming. I've already gone down those roads. I've already been bankrupt twice, dug myself into debt that has been stupid. Now, you'll love this one. For those of you that have entertained bankruptcy, the first time talking to a financial advisor, I went bankrupt on $6,000. Okay. The second time, I was guided to go bankrupt on $14,000. Currently, I'm over 40,000 in debt, I think. Nope, that's wrong. Currently, I am 15, 22. I'm approximately 22,000 in debt. Okay. About that. I'm not even considering bankruptcy. I am looking at it going, inside the next couple of months, I'll be in the black. Inside the next 3 to 4 years, I will be debt free if I find no other source of income. That means if I don't sell one book, I don't have one consultancy run, I don't have one piece of money and one extra piece of money come in, I'll still be out of debt within 3 to 4 years. Okay, using my money. This is what I'm offering to you. If you take a look, and again, okay, write down whatever you're living in, your housing is costing you. If that's rent, lease, mortgage, doesn't matter. Okay, mark that down. Write down every utility you have and how much you owe on them. Okay, if they're current, this is great. If they aren't, if you're behind, write down what you owe. Look at every credit card you've got, credit card, line of credit, any leasehold you've got, write them all down. Okay? And then you go and you look at everybody that you owe money to. And I mean, even the people that said, I'm a friend of yours, I know you're in trouble, here's $500. Don't worry about paying it back. Lord, I wish I had friends like that. But with that in mind, okay, even those debts, if you feel you should be paying them back, write them down. I will tell you, even the people that tell you don't worry about it will appreciate getting the money back. I've yet to see anybody complain that they were given money. Okay, that's this is where we start with the assessment. Okay, now, you're not looking at how you got there. This is the last question you ask. Okay, and it is also, in my opinion, 100% the least important question. How you got there does not make any difference. What matters is that you are there. And now it's time to turn your life around. Now it's time to make the problems go away. But that's in your control. Okay, anybody that tells you you're too far gone, you need help, yes, you do. Okay, but you're not too far gone. Okay, in most cases. Some of you have ended up in a bind where you may well have ended up overnight, you lost your job, and all of a sudden you're hooked. There are always extenuating circumstances or exceptions. Okay, but the biggest thing I've got to encourage you on, I do believe anyway, is do not give up on you. As long as you believe that you can pull it off. Maybe you require a little bit of guidance. As I said, do the assessment yourself first. But you got to be brutally honest. You cannot go, oh, I know that's that I'm $50 over, but that's minor. It doesn't matter. Write it down. Okay. Take a brutal assessment. Then talk to a financial advisor. If you don't know how to get out, absolutely talk to a financial advisor. The bank, whatever bank you deal with, bank, trust company, doesn't matter. I will tell you, if you're dealing with loan shark, this is not a good financial advisor. They'll tell you exactly how they can make money. But go to whatever legitimate bank or trust company or credit union you deal with. Talk to their financial advisor. Lay the situation out. Go, this is where I'm standing. How do I get out of this? Okay. Be cautious of taking a loan to get out. Okay, there are ways of making loans to get out work. But most of the time, even financial advisors won't tell you where the pitfalls are. I'll tell you right now, I will point them out. Of course, I'm borderline paranoid. Well, no, I'm probably very paranoid where it comes to finances. I finally figured out what I was doing wrong. I didn't care. Okay. I didn't put any weight behind my future. Bad idea. I'm 62. I've only got another 60 years to live. Okay. So it's time to get started. And yeah, I know what I just said. Okay. In all fairness, I'm looking at another 140 years that I'm aiming for. I don't know if I'm going to pull it off. I'm going to do my best. Okay. But if you're considering getting a loan or getting another credit card to get out of debt, absolutely talk to somebody that's been there. If you know somebody that's done that successfully, absolutely talk to them. I'm not the be all and end all. I just have a very different way of looking at the world. Okay. And getting a hold of me is not that hard. If you do have a topic, and since we're on Monday, we're on finances. If you've got a pattern or a situation financially that you'd like guidance on, okay, and you don't desire to talk to me directly, but you feel it's a necessary topic, drop me a line, let me know, okay, and I'll work it into the Monday schedule. I am already booked into the middle of October for topics. Okay, I've got a few beyond that, but I have a very definitive pattern I've laid out. Thank you very much there, LA. I've just been told we're down to the 15-minute mark. And I'm glad that LA keeps an eye on things for me. Because I'll tell you, my tracking time is a royal pain. The biggest thing we have to look at here, I keep saying that, the biggest thing, I keep putting a bigger one on top, is this. When we're looking at controlling your finances, I'm not talking about me controlling your finances or going to a bank and saying, hey, can you control what my money's doing? Or let's go to a bankruptcy trustee or a debt consolidation person. I'm talking about learning how to handle it yourself. Now, there is an old saying that my father used to utilize. Take care of the pennies, the dollars will take care of themselves. I can walk you down that road. And over the next several weeks, okay, Mondays we're looking at various different things. And yes, sometimes we will go back over them because I have found that reiterating concepts works extremely well for people. Okay, Lord knows it has worked for me reasonably well. Quite often by talking to myself, in all fairness. But with that in mind, we've got a very simple outlook. Okay, and that is that you have the ability and the knowledge to actually get control of your own life. Okay, it just boils down to figuring out which way you're going to put your priorities. Okay, and priority one, and if you can at all, maybe you're back east and it's a little late. Okay, but if you're awake enough to do it, tonight, okay, assess where you're standing. You can put it off till tomorrow. Absolutely you can. But here's the kicker. Tomorrow never comes. Okay, same as you can never go back and change what you've already done. So do your assessment tonight. At the latest, if it's too late for you, do it first thing tomorrow morning. The sooner you get your financial assessment done, the sooner your life gets back in your hands. And the sooner you have finances that you can do those weird things like go out for coffee without worrying about it. Turn around, have a holiday. Now, I will tell you, with the cost of holidays, that's probably going to be a bit down the road. But here's something for you married people, or you people that are in common law situations. Okay, this will enable you to do something really weird. Okay, especially if you've got kids that are old enough to do it. Get a hotel room or have a date night. These are things we're going to talk to you about the importance of as we go along over the next several weeks. But it starts by looking in the mirror and looking at your bank and going, this is what I owe. Now, here's the neat little thing, and I'll explain this on another day in more detail. You look at your bank accounts. What level are you at? Now, we're going to talk about how to make those levels consistently climb. But it really boils down to control on your part, not relying on somebody else. Okay, you may end up relying on a alarm clock. You know, maybe you're one of these people that requires setting alarms so that on such and such a day you move this much money to such and such a location. Okay, critical issue here is self-control. But self-control is only usable if you understand how. And that is what I am turning around and offering you. We're going to focus on Mondays on your finances. And bear in mind, these are the same tools I personally use. Okay, these are the ones that have taken me from being almost drowning, well, never mind almost, from drowning in debt to being on the upswing, almost in the black. Okay, that's the critical factor here. It is time to get your life in order, but it starts by assessing where you are. And by the way, just as a slight side note, assessing where you are financially is of the same importance as assessing where you are materialistically speaking. Maybe your house isn't as organized as you like, and you don't know how to go about that. We will be dealing with that as well. But that quite often will fall under Sunday's venue of positive productivity. Okay, because we're going to show you how to reclaim power over your life. Okay, we're going to look at the self-improvement side of things. That'll be on Tuesdays. Okay, that's the self-help thing. Okay, which may end up taking some of the venue of organizing your house. And then, of course, Fridays and Saturdays, we're going to stay with the alien side of things and look at what's going on there. Okay, but today we are looking at assessing your financial state. Where are you standing? And we are down to 8 minutes. Thank you very much, LA, especially with what happened the other day. Okay, we're taking a look at where you're standing now and not looking and saying, oh, you've made such a foul mess of your life. I'm not here to tell you whether your life is a mess. You're here to tell yourself, am I looking at this in a way that I can make myself content? Oh, bonus. Oh, did I miss somebody coming in? Probably. Okay, hopefully when I get the docking station up, I'll get the bigger screen so I can actually track things more readily. But here's the kicker. We're talking about focusing on showing you, without condemnation, how to reclaim power over your life and get the life, the happiness, the relaxation, that rejuvenation, how to get that by your own efforts without somebody looking at you going, oh, you've made such a mess of things. I believe the term was, let he who has not sinned cast the first stone. I've been bankrupt. I've burnt more money on stupid stuff than I care to count. Okay, and probably than I can count. I'm not here to tell you what you did wrong. I'm here to tell you how to take where you are and make it work in your favor. But get that assessment done. Either, if you've got time tonight, do it tonight. If not, do it first thing in the morning. Okay, it's time to reclaim power over your life. And remember, 4 words. I am worth it. Okay, by looking at that, we'll get you back on track, but you're going to do the work. Okay, with that in mind, Blue, that the first and foremost, because I've only got a minute here. Okay, but we are going to be covering that topic down the road. First and foremost, take a look at the sales in the store you frequent. Okay, 2-for-1 is only useful if it's something you'll consume. Otherwise, talk to your friends. If you can't go through 10 pounds of potatoes and you got a neighbor that can go through 5 and you can go through 5, pitch in together and combine your grocery bill. Okay, but we're going to go into a lot more tips of that. I've actually got it scheduled. I just don't know offhand. But it will be on one of the Mondays coming up. And we will keep you absolutely posted on that. Okay, with that in mind, where am I here? With that in mind, I do want to say, because we're right down to the last wire here. With that in mind, thank you so very much for sharing your time with us tonight. I really appreciate it. I love the support. Okay, we will discuss these things in the future. Okay, but until then, we'll be back again tomorrow. But tomorrow we are looking at self-help. Okay, that said, absolutely, as a matter of fact, that's probably not a bad idea. But that said, I will talk to you then. Until then, until tomorrow, 8 o'clock p.m. PST. Until then, take care of yourselves and each other. And for pity's sakes, stay positive.